I think at the beginning I saw it as a defamation of the anti-war movement. It made anti-war activists look pretty darn bad. That is, anti-war activists of the Vietnam era. And then because of that, it discouraged a new generation of activists in 1990 and 1991 from opposing the looming war in the Persian Gulf, because young people, students of mine at the College of Holy Cross, were saying, gosh, if we oppose the war, does that mean we will be looked at as those radicals in the 1960s who spat on Vietnam veterans when they came home? This is not just a hypothetical. Students of mine raised questions like that with me in 1990, 1991, and indeed some faculty members at the time argued with me and said that my take on it was wrong. They were around at that time, and so they're certain that these things happened. So that's what kind of started my engine. That's what got me going on this.
It's really funny the way that memory works that way, because one of the things that I believe you talk about in your book is, if you just look at this from a common sense perspective, can you possibly imagine that some guy returning from Vietnam, a very hard, tough place, sees some skinny hippie spitting on him and then just walks away? He doesn't fight the guy, he doesn't do anything. Like, it just seems implausible on its face. You talked about the fact that there were an urban legend aspect that these stories started to take on. Could you talk about that element a little bit? In what ways was that evident?
Well, it's actually where I come down on that is that these stories are more mythical in terms of their content than urban legend, because and I don't mean to slide off your question, but
Sure.
They do go back to as far back as the Odyssey. Odysseus comes home and finds Penelope living with a group of suitors. I think is how it's the word that's used. A group of other young men, and so he feels betrayed by the woman at home. Now, if we run the clock way forward, then in the wake of World War I, Germany is defeated. Soldiers come home, and the stories there do involve spit. They're spat on. They have their insignia ripped off their uniforms. And the perpetrators are very often women and young girls. So there is this, and now we come up to the post-Vietnam years in the United States. It is once again women and young girls who are alleged as often as men to be the spitters. So there is this element of them that certainly with the stories of Odysseus predate the transition from pre-modern to modern in the stories.